and I was almost hospitalized because of the fact that I was so malnourished. This is the dad lore. She said if I wanted to eat, I should just eat. My eating disorder was fake because I could have just ate. I told my biological mom of what happened, and she basically told me to my face that she did not believe me. Yeah, the house got foreclosed. We literally were like, you got a week and you gotta get. Another thing is, I also didn't want to tell people because I was scared no one was going to believe me. Hey guys, welcome back, or welcome to my channel. In this video, it's going to be a little bit different than most of my other videos. There's not going to be a lot of edits to it. It's going to be kind of like a straightforward video. I don't want to make really light situations. I am talking about deeper topics. So I would like to note there is going to be a trigger warning of SA, R word, lack of parenting, just kind of like really touchy subjects. I would also like to know that I'm not making this video for a pity party. I'm not making this video for y'all to come in the comments and be like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry to vent your life story. I'm solely doing this because of the fact that I always am on TikTok running my mouth a little bit too much, and I'm always dropping lore is what I always refer to, just here and there, and it's just like little pieces like I have a dad, I don't have a dad, and then everyone's like, what is she talking about? She literally is crazy because she said she had a dad one day and the next day she doesn't. I made this video to kind of sum up the lore, my life story. I've always loved watching Draw My Lives when I grew up, watching YouTubers draw their life on the whiteboard. They did the voiceover, they did this and this and that. I tried filming that, except I would hide my entire life story, which is the entire point of the video. I never would post it, obviously. Today I thought I'd sit down and talk to you guys about my life story. I feel like I kind of not owe it to y'all, but I kind of just wanted to be more open with y'all. So let's get started. I wrote down everything on my iPad because if I didn't, I would sit here rambling for 3 hours and we would get nowhere. Like, you would not even know what we're sitting here talking about. So I wrote down everything I wanted to note on the video. Also, I'd like to note, this is my story and I'm not coming on here to talk about other people's story. I'm going to talk about things that have affected me in my life, but I'm not going to sit up here and talk about this person's story and then try to tie it into myself. And I'm not going to be talking about other people. This video is not drama related. Starting out first with my birthday. I was born on August 15th, 2003. So when I'm filming this video, I'm 21 and I turned 22 in August. I'm a Leo, so that kind of explains a lot of my dramatics. First note I made was my birthday. The second note I made was I grew up in a trailer. I don't know if that comes to a shock to anybody. I did not have a lot of money growing up, nor do I have it now. There was 7 of us living in a single wide trailer, so you can kind of envision in your mind of how much room there was in said trailer. Not much, if you're not picking up what I'm grasping. Also, I'm getting over a sickness, which is why I sound so nasally, so I do apologize. I think I moved from the trailer when I was in 2nd grade. I don't remember events by year. I remember them by grade levels. So I lived in the trailer from when I was born to when I was in 1st grade, and then when I was in 2nd grade I moved. But I would like to say my memory is foggy because childhood trauma, or just trauma in general, blocks your memory. So this is pretty much what I can remember from my childhood. So if I leave out a bunch of detail, don't kill me. From what I can remember, the trauma started when I was very young, like 5, 6. Whenever I was living in this trailer is when it happened, and I don't want to go into graphic, horrific detail because I don't want to trigger myself again. But the trauma started from when I was in the trailer until I was a preteen. It was SA, it was R word, it was not great, which is why I never went back to said trailer ever because it was so triggering for me. There was one room in the trailer that it happened in repeatedly that I literally cannot step foot in. I have felt sick going back in there. The person who did it to me, I don't know if I'll ever say it online fully. I don't know if I'll ever get to that point, but maybe one day if I'm like fully healed and go through therapy that I need, I'm not crying, I promise. Maybe I'll tell, I don't know. All I'll leave it to now is it was a family member. I feel like that is good progress for me though, because I used to just say it happened and I wouldn't even tell like my closest friends or even like other family members who it was. I would just say it happened. But now that I feel like I'm expressing and going further out that it was a family member, I feel like we're progressing a little bit in life. I don't want to like dive into the topic because I don't want to re-trigger myself, but it obviously was a traumatic thing, but I still think about it every single day. That kind of thing definitely alter your mind and how you think about life in general. I used to think that's the only reason someone will like you is if you show them your body or if you let them use your body, because that's the way I grew up knowing. I was never close with my biological dad. I just never had like a super close relationship with him, which kind of explains because I never really lived with him much in my life. So I never really grew up close to him. It was always an awkward relationship with him. Then it being at his house, never wanted to go back to visit him either. I also was very young and like obviously couldn't drive. So I was never close with him. I never really knew what it felt to be loved by a male that was healthy and not that way. So I never had like a healthy way of growing up knowing what it felt like to be loved by either parental figure, but speaking more on like a male figure currently, I never knew what it felt like to be loved. That kind of explains that. It definitely does affect you in like your life as you grow up. It's not one of those things that it happens and then it's done with. You can just heal from it and then move on. I feel like even if I do get therapy, I'll be able to accept that it happened, but I'll still think about it in the back of my mind. Like I'll never fully forget it, and it sucks. It really does. We'll move on from that subject for now, and I don't know if we'll come back or not too. So that was like from Kenzie was born to like 1st grade. 2nd grade, I remember moving to another house with biological mom's boyfriend. I'm not going into like full detail about each story. So we moved again, 10 people, too small of a house. Once again, I pretty much always shared a room growing up, like with 2 to 3 different people. It was never Kenzie has her own room. So that's kind of, I feel like, why I like being isolated now and like having my own space, because I never had that growing up. I always was crammed in a room with like 2 to 3 people and not enough space. Never like had my own stuff. One of my punishments that I actually remember, I never liked my nails short, and I could never think of why I never liked them short, because everyone when I grew up, they're always like, your nails are so long, like your nails are beautiful, like your natural nails are great. These are nails for said question, like they're my natural nails. And I was like, why do I keep my nails so long? Until like one day a couple months ago it hit me of why I keep them so long, and it's solely because of the fact that one of my punishments was when I was growing up, even if it wasn't my fault, I still got punished. My nails were cut below the bed, and it literally would be painful to even touch like my fingers to anything because they were that short. Also, I have to admit, I was never the favorite whatsoever with either parental figure, so the punishment came regularly. Another thing is I never had proper hair care when I was like living, because no one wanted to take the time to learn how to do like mixed hair. So my hair was always just like brushed and yanked. I always grew up 8-year-old Kenzie, 7-year-old Kenzie. I want straight hair. I wanted to be anything but myself because I never got like the proper like maintenance. Like no one wanted to touch my hair and actually do it properly. I just remember like the hairbrush being yanked through my hair and just not caring, and I just remember sobbing. In 2nd grade, I cried every single day going to school. I hated school that much at that young of an age, and my grandparents and I lived from a distance from each other. I think we lived like 2 hours away when I was in 2nd grade. We'd pretty much go visit them every single weekend. I actually remember this. My grandpa would pick us up from school, me and my little brother. He would pick us up, we would go to McDonald's, we'd be in the back of his truck. My order always from McDonald's was yogurt, apples, and nuts, and that's just like something that's always stuck in my head, that my grandpa would always pick us up and do it. But when it came time to go, I would literally bawl my eyes out that entire 2-hour drive back, and I could never think of the reason why I cried so much. And I think it's still because of the fact that I was getting assaulted, so I was like, I don't want to go. I was at my grandparents' house, I was safe there. I was like, I don't want to leave, I don't want to go back and get assaulted, so I'm over here crying and begging and please. I didn't get to stay because I was forced to go home. But I was like, why do I keep crying? And no one would understand why I would cry, because people understand that not everything when it happens to you, like some kids are very vocal when something happens to you. I was on the opposite end. I would kind of keep everything inside. So when I was getting assaulted, especially at such a young age, I was not telling anybody. So no one knew why I was crying every single weekend. This is what thinking with your thoughts do. They help you kind of uncover your memories. But another thing with that school, I don't remember the teacher's name, but it was this male teacher I had, because the teacher I actually had for 2nd grade was so mean. Like she did not put up with nothing. She was like, stop crying. But this other teacher, he was like across the hall. I would come in early and he was like, if you help me like unload my chairs like off the desk, I'll give you animal crackers. So it kind of like made me like stop crying, because I was like getting like 5 animal crackers to help him unload the little classroom. That was like probably the only like good memory from that school. So then we moved again when I was in 3rd grade, and we moved to my grandparents' house. We lived at my grandparents' house for like a year, at least a school year, and then we bought a house. My biological mom, I guess she wanted this house as soon as she literally could. Like she did not go through home inspections, because if this house went through a home inspection, it would have failed. I don't know how it even passed. I think the person who built the house built it to where it could be the bare minimum of passing, but if it got like an actual thorough good home inspection, it would have failed. The day we moved into the house, we were told it had a hot tub. The hot tub was removed before we got in the house, but there was like a little sunroom where the hot tub was molded. The roof was molded, and since she was a single parent at the time, the roof never got fixed. So it literally was just like a moldy, hot, humid room. There was a bedroom upstairs with the bathroom, and then there was a loft. Come downstairs, big open living room, dining room. There's like a kitchen. You walk this way, washer dryer. Then there was like the sunroom here. I'm like going around the house. A closet. Then we had my room that I picked, and then we had another bedroom beside me, and then downstairs one big room that walked out into like our yard, and then it had another bathroom. So there was 3 bathrooms in this house. There was also one big room on the other side, and then we turned those into 2 different rooms. The bathroom downstairs was like a toilet and then like a shower, and it was all like not together together. It was like boom, boom, boom. Shower did not work. The pressure was way too hot. You could not fix it, and it just sprayed continuously. Like, it just did not work whatsoever. The toilet didn't flush properly. We bought it first day, you couldn't flush the toilet. And then I think if you flushed it, it would flood. It would flood the entire house. The entire house was not good. We had pillars that held up the house. One of those like collapsed. There was a little water fountain. Like, I felt so bougie with this house, not knowing at the time that it was not bougie, Kenzie. There was like a little lion water fountain. Like, just imagine poor Kenzie single wide trailer now in this house with a lion water fountain that spits water out the lion's mouth. Imagine how bougie I felt. It didn't work. It was decoration, did not work. Basically, the house was unlevel. Every single room was different. Like, it just was not a well-built house. Eventually, the house got foreclosed. Spoiler alert, the bills were not being paid, so the house foreclosed. My grandpa, shout out him, actually stepped in a few times and like came through with groceries because that's where my ED started. There was never much food where I live, so I developed an ED.
Granny, I gained a pound. Yeah, I ate potato chips today. It's currently 12:30. I'm gonna get to some lunch. I don't really even want like a big lunch right now. I think I'm just gonna have a little bit of cookie dough. Currently 5:17. I'm honestly not that hungry today. I'm having cheese and another bagel. And again, these bagels are a lot smaller than I usually eat. Like, the ones I eat are like bigger, so they're more filling. But this one, it just isn't. So I have some cheese on the side.
And would not eat because there was no food, which I've talked about in a few of my other videos. So my grandpa would literally like come like once a month, and he would like stock up the fridge. It was the best like 3 days of my life because it would get ransacked in those 3 days. I also became vegetarian at that time because I watched like a slaughterhouse video. I think it was like May 10th of 2015. So that also contributed to my ED. Now I'm not eating meat, so there's no protein. And I think I was getting around to like 90 pounds, and I had absolutely no energy to do anything. And I was still going to school at the time. I think like that really started when I was in 8th grade. That's when I did online school. Another thing, I did online school from 8th to I graduated. I developed the ED like while I was doing online school. So literally I would like have my computer in the bed with me doing my work because I had no energy to get out the bed. Like, I couldn't do anything. I would get up, do a load of laundry, and that was it for me. I had like no energy from the lack of iron and lack of eating. I could not do anything besides lay in the bed. My grandma and I joke around now because she always would come over and I'd be in the bed and she's like, "Are you coming with me?" And I'm like, "No, look, I can't. Like, I don't feel like it." And she'd always like joke around saying I was lazy, but I genuinely could not get out the bed until it came to a point where I literally was like feeling like so sick. So we went to the doctor and she was like, "I'm surprised you were here walking around. Like, your like iron levels or blood levels, some level, really, really low." And I was almost hospitalized because of the fact that I was so malnourished, not taken care of. And we came home to my biological mom and she was on her device and was like, "Okay." Back on the device after being told I almost died. So there was that. I was battling that, trying to stay alive, and I obviously got prescribed iron pills and I was taking those throughout the process. I lived in the house for a few years until I moved in with my grandparents again. I think I moved in with them when I turned 15. Once again, ages, numbers, I could be wrong, but I think when I was in 9th grade I moved in with my grandparents.
Tuesday, July 31st. I'm in a different location background because, as usual with the title, I'm moving. I'm probably gonna get into why.
Then obviously my eating disorder kind of like, it didn't disappear obviously completely, but I definitely did start eating that I was with my grandparents and there actually was food in the house. Yeah, the house got foreclosed. We literally were like, "You got a week and you gotta get." Like, we packed up all my stuff, had to move because no one paid the bills, so we evacuated. I'm leaving out details because I'm not telling other people's stories. I don't want to like try to drag myself into unnecessary family drama, but from the earlier trauma I was talking about still happening all throughout this time. I don't remember when it officially ended. The trauma is just like, it's spotty. I'll be honest with you. I do remember it still happening there. And I remember this person just being so weird. That's all I can describe with it. They're just so weird to not me, but like other people too. I'm living with my grandparents. I'm still doing online school. Nothing like too traumatic happened then. I was just kind of like doing school, hanging out with like old friends that I'm no longer friends with now. I would also like to say, this may become a shock to a lot of people watching this video, but I actually was friends with the person who did that to me after it happened. My brain still had not processed it. I did not want to ruin their life. I was like, my life's already ruined. Let me not ruin someone else's. And another thing is, I also didn't want to tell people because I was scared no one was going to believe me. Shocker. That was true. I just didn't tell anybody. And I was like, I'm going to try to keep the peace for whatever it's worth. Tearing my entire mental health apart. Let me keep the peace. Never keep the peace, y'all. Never keep the peace. So then flash 40 years later, I realized like, oh, this still affects me. Like, every time I got sad, I was like, ooh, this struck a nerve a little bit. Then I kind of started realizing processing how that trauma affected me. So then I was like, let me start telling people, like, let me try to get like a voice. I told a couple people in my family what happened, and they were like, okay, like ride or die, I'm not gonna talk to that person ever again. And I was like, cool, like, ally. Unfortunately, we have to use that term now, but anyways, they stopped talking to them. I was like, people actually believe me. Like, this is like what I've wanted my entire life, just someone to believe my story. So I just went through so much of my childhood, and I can't remember any of my childhood. Like, whenever like my friends would be like, oh, I did this, this, and this, and I was like, I can't remember nothing in my childhood because of that. And now people are actually believing my story. It literally had me over the moon. I was like, I actually feel validated now. I would find out they would end up being friends with him again. Anyways, flash forward, I told my biological mom of what happened, and she basically told me to my face that she did not believe me and she could not unlove this person. To my face. I was like, he ruined my life, took your daughter's innocence, and you're not gonna double down, be mom of the year? I was like, woo, knock that one down. Let me go tell my biological dad, because I was like here and there friends with him. Like, we weren't like close, as I've said before, but like we talked occasionally, and it literally was like one-liners because it was so awkward. Like, we just were on that level. And I finally like met up with him because I posted so many depressing TikToks.
I hate me too. Now we can be friends again.
I've never heard silence quite this loud.
He was like, maybe I should get her help. And I'm like, really? It took you long enough. I think this was when I was like 17, almost 18. I could be wrong once again with dates. Don't quote me on it. But it took him long enough to realize, maybe she could use some therapy after the bazillion TikToks she posted about being blanked to. So I'm like, thank God, therapy is on the horizon. I'm seeing the tunnel. I'm seeing the light. Like, we are moving up in the world. No one's gonna stop me once I get my therapy. Like, y'all can suck on it. I'm just gonna give y'all the spoiler now. The therapy never came, and it still hasn't came. So if y'all are thinking, did she ever go to therapy? No. I'm trying to joke about it so I don't cry, because I don't want to come up on the camera and cry. Anyways, so I met up with this man. I was like, okay, I'll meet up with you, because he said, you meet up with me, you tell me the story like from start to finish, I'll get you therapy. I was like, it's coming, y'all. So I meet up with him, and I give him the start to finish. I'm like, this is why I never came to visit you. Like, I was too traumatized. Like, this is exactly what happened. So he's like, wow, like, that's sad that she didn't understand you, because I told him what she told me. And he's like, yeah, I expected that, but like, wow, like, okay, I'll get you therapy. And I was like, oh my goodness, we were moving up in the world. He also asked me while we were hanging out if I've ever been on a cruise before. This was after me telling him I was surprised I was here, like, talking to him, because I wanted to like end it multiple times. I told him multiple times that I thought about it and was very close to multiple times, and then had the audacity to say, have you been on a cruise? No, I have not. I was fighting the will to live, but thank you for asking. And he never took me on the cruise either, but that's besides the point. After I met up with him, I was like, cool, I'm getting therapy. Like, I am over the moon, y'all. You could say the worst thing to me did not affect my day because of the fact that I'm getting therapy. Therapy never came. The therapy was the friends we made along the way. 4 days after I told this man what happened to me, he took the person who did it to me to a basketball game. Yep, and you're probably like, Kenzie, we lost the plot. We did lose the plot. I don't know what happened with the plot, but it was just thrown out the window. Like, plot gone. Why do you do that? So I'm like, let me just check with him. Like, let me see. Maybe we just got our... I said, hey, like, heard you took this person to a basketball game. Like, what's going on? Just told you it was our word. What are we doing? He said, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, Kenzie. Newsflash, nothing went on behind the scenes. They are friends, besties to this day. Therapy never came. He fully believes, unfortunately, that he has done nothing wrong to me. Now, I just know anybody watching this video, if you've watched this point, thank you, I love you. Hopefully y'all can hear me with the rain. I do apologize. It's really not helping like the sad time we're talking about. I feel like anybody watching this video is kind of like, what? If you do that to someone, I feel like you have no awareness of your surroundings, or you just want to play the victim, where you genuinely can do that to someone and then move on with your life and then act like nothing happened and then act like that act that you did was forgivable without an apology. To this day, he has never apologized, no matter how many times I brought it up to him saying, you've done this to me. He's basically flipped it around being like, well, actually ignored me. I've texted him multiple times on the subject, like, you hurt my feelings, like what you did was wrong, and then he would ignore my messages. He would send me job applications. I had a job. He would send me credit card like applications where he would get a like bonus because he would be referring me to join the credit card with his code, so he would get money if I joined with his link. He sent me a picture of a crumble cookie box and said, what's inside? I beat the horse dead, like saying like, you did this to me, you did this to me, like we're hitting the same exact subject, and he is just going around the bush. So finally I was like, you know what, not cool. I don't need this negativity in my life. I don't know why I keep chasing a father figure that doesn't doesn't want to love me the way I should be loved. I texted him, I was like, hey, if you see me anymore, you didn't see me. If you see me and like want to talk to me, don't talk to me. I've asked you multiple times to talk and try to fix the issue. You've ignored it. We're done. I'm cutting you off. Final straw. Like, we're done. He texted me after that and he was like, let's meet up and talk about this. Sir, what do you think happened the last time we met up and talked about that? He saw me and he tried to talk to me. And I was like, did we not read my text message when I said, do not talk to me if you see me? So I finally turned around at him and I said, I'm not talking to someone who disrespects me. And then finally he has officially left me alone, besides the fact that he stalked me on TikTok and tried to make up with me by finding my wedding registry that I only posted out on TikTok and bought a $8 pasta strainer off of it. Now, if it would have been any other person, I would have been completely grateful. But you think an $8 pasta strainer is gonna make up for the trauma that you gave me, and that's gonna be your apology? Suck it. And I could see if he really did that as a nice gesture, like just trying to be like, let me just send her stuff since I'm not in her life anymore. Let me just send her stuff to help her with her future life and the life that she's building. No, he put his full name on there. You can remain anonymous on Amazon if you were curious. He put his full name on there. He wanted me to know that it came from him. That's all I'm gonna say on the subject now. I personally don't like to dwell on things anymore. I used to like try to pity myself, like my life sucks, this happened to me, and now I really just want to better my life and I want to start a family and not build it off of trauma that's happened to me. I just don't want to do that. I want to break the curse of toxicness in the family, trauma in the family. Like, I just don't want to build a family around that because I don't want them to experience what I experienced, obviously. So I just have cut out family members that I just don't get along with, that cause drama, that just don't benefit me in life. I'm doing this for myself. I'm not trying to be in a selfish way, but I feel like I've had so much pain growing up. I just don't want to keep drawing myself in to more pain and just trying to like forgive when things have happened to me from this way. I just don't want to keep hurting myself again and again trying to mend stuff. That's what I'm doing to try to better my life, if that makes sense. I put wanting to DIE on this list because I did multiple times growing up. Just a lot of that childhood trauma that I've talked about throughout the entire video triggered a lot of it, and every time I think about it, I'm like, I am worthless. No one's ever gonna love me. No one will ever believe me. And that was kind of the leading cause to me wanting to every single time. Now I've actually have not thought about that in a while. It's been a few years, and that is because of the fact that I did meet my fiance. I love this man so much, not to get cheesy corny because I will cry thinking about him, but I went to the gym because I actually did want to end it. I met him and my life has changed so drastically. Oh, hang on, y'all, tears. My life has changed so drastically since meeting him. He's changed my life for the better. He's led me in the right direction. He's kept me out of drama. He's like just telling me to like don't dwell on that, like move on, like don't be petty with them. And I just thank him every day for changing me into being a better person. I love him, and he's just made me want to work on bettering my life and just making my life the life that I actually want, and not just repeating constant drama cycles or constant toxic cycles that I've lived enough through. That's all the notes that I put on my list. I did ask y'all to ask me questions on TikTok, so I'm just gonna read some of the questions that y'all left me. If you don't find me on TikTok, it's in the description or it's right here on the screen. The comment I got was, who gave you hate when you announced your engagement? Because I have mentioned that I've gotten like hate for it, and I won't say specifically who because once again I don't want to start unnecessary drama from this video, but it was family member. My grandma would tell people I was engaged and they'd be like, oh, okay. So that kind of explains to you the situation we're dealing with. Someone said we need to know who was snitching on you to Hurricane Ronnie and how do you know them. They're in my family. I can't really say the exact family member. I don't want to get involved in unnecessary drama. I was a family member and they were throwing me under every chance I could get, saying my videos sucked, saying they were horrible, and basically making like a fake narrative out of the videos, even though every single thing I say in my videos, as I've said once and I'll say it again, everything I'll say in my videos is what I'll say to anybody. I would never post on my videos that I wouldn't say to someone's face. I feel like that's something that gets lost in the way. They think I'm just like posting videos and hiding behind a screen. This one was like a bunch of questions from one person. They said, how's your relationship with your bio mom? Non-existent. How'd you end up living with your grands now? Which is kind of what I explained earlier. How'd you meet Vinny? I met him at the gym, as I explained. Why doesn't your little sister live there also? There is just not enough room at my grandparents' house for her to live there. This is the dad lore that I've always keep dropping and never finishing. My little sister has a dad, and this is the funny story because I mentioned this once before. My little sister and I have two different dads, and her dad was actually my fiance's dad's best friend in high school. So my little sister's dad is world's best dad. This man goes above and beyond for literally everyone in my family. Like, it doesn't matter if like it's just her, he goes above for the entire family. It was Valentine's Day yesterday when I'm filming this video, and he walked up my mountain, y'all know the snowy mountain, and bought me chocolate covered strawberries. And he knows my relationship with my biological dad is non-existent, not there, and he literally was like, I'll take Kinsey in as my daughter. I love this man like he is my dad. That is the man I refer to as my dad now, because my biological dad, kind of my life, I do not like him. That's why I refer to him as like bio dad, because that's all he is to me. My new dad is my little sister's dad, who says I'm his daughter. We're not actually related, and he's never adopted me. So whenever I say dad, that's who I'm referring to. So that's the dad lore. I posted my strawberries, and I was like, I have the sweetest dad, and everyone was like, what is she talking about? This girl does not have a dad. Someone said Bio's dad fam reach out to you. His family did reach out to me. His sister. We're not going to get into her today because I do not want to cause unnecessary drama, but she basically told me that I post too much about my personal life online when that is quite literally the point of my account, to post about my life. Who's going to tell her? Instead of like actually be like, are you okay? She's like, you post too much. I do it not just for myself, because it definitely helps me when I hear people talk about similar troubles they've had, and I hear someone else talking about it, I'm like, okay, I'm not alone. So my goal when I post about things like this is to help someone else who's maybe been struggling and been keeping it inside them, to like hear someone else's story and be like, I'm not alone. That's my point with it. I'm not coming on here to pity party. But I don't know what she was thinking. I blocked her too. I said, you're done. How did you and Vinny meet again? It was at the gym. Was it mutual attraction at first? Yes. They said, how did he ask you out? I asked this man out, and I've told the story like a million times, but I saw him in the gym, knew that man was my husband when the day I saw him, so I was like, yep, DM him on Instagram. And I went to check, and it literally said seen an hour ago. So I was like, this man hates me. So I deleted my message, and then he responded back like immediately, was like, hey, and then we went from there. And our first date was at Ben & Jerry's ice cream. And then everybody wanted an update about the brand, that invited me on a brand trip, and then was like, never mind, all our spots are filled after they invited me on said brand event. It wasn't an event where they fly you out and they pay for every single thing. It was a thing where they had an event, and then I had to pay for all my stuff there, but I thought it'd be a good opportunity to get my foot in the door, especially as being a content creator. And it was a deodorant brand. A very like not big deodorant brand. And that's all I'll say. The last question they asked was, have you and Vinny ever found a house that's within your budget? I remember a while ago saying you'll have it. The area we live in has world's worst house economy. I don't know why the area is so booming with like expensive houses for literally nothing, because we literally live in like these sticks. Like we live in a small county. As I've said before, there's a $265,000 house on the market right now, which is like in price range. It's 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and you can see the bedroom from the living room. So I'm not gonna spend almost $300,000 on a house when I'm standing in almost all corners of the house in 1 room. We're trying to wait for that one diamond in the rough to pop up. We just don't want to get a house just to get a house and then end up going in debt, because number one marriage stressor is debt. We don't want to get married and then be broke. That was pretty much it for the question. In the future, I may or may not go into more detail about it. I've always wanted to write a book, except I hate writing and I cannot spell if my life depended on it. I would love to write a book, but have someone else write it for me. I need a ghostwriter. That's gonna be it for the video. I almost cried one time at a part I did not expect to, but that's okay. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you watched the entire video, thank you. I love you. But hopefully y'all kind of understand my life just a little bit more. I've left out a bunch of details about like other things just because I feel like they aren't my story to tell. I don't want to hear text messages coming in like, you shouldn't have said that. So I probably will get a few of those anyway. Thanks for watching. If you're new, to subscribe. I will see you guys next Friday. Bye.